Welcome to Conversations with Karin, whereby I have weekly conversations with you regarding life and unlocking your full potential. Shift, change, and grow through our conversations. Today's guest is Adrian Nelson, who is a conscious living practitioner. And if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me afterwards, is a NLP coach as well as a Reiki master, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Did I get all your details correct?
Yeah, some of them.
So, today's conversation is going to be about the struggle of chaos and overwhelm and how to ignite your inner wellness so you can calm into your intrinsic vitality. Sounds nice. And live your full expression. Hi. For those that do not know me, I'm Karin Kelly, a transformation coach and author. For the last 19 plus years, I have assisted women and men to unlocking their full potential. And together, we shift, change, and grow, transforming the essence of self, discarding past programming that has limited you and held you back. Example, like today's topic, moving beyond the feeling of being overwhelmed. So, when you are feeling overwhelmed, take it as a sign that you need to hit the pause button. And feeling overwhelmed seems to be one of the most common emotions people experience. For example, with worry and uncertainty, fear, sadness, disappointments, or any other negative emotions. For example, possibly worrying over not being able to find work. All of this is normal and to be expected when we are dealing with a situation that is in many ways unusual, especially what we are going through presently. And although feeling overwhelmed is common, it's important to look out for your emotional and physical health by doing what we can to eliminate or reduce that negative energy. And sometimes we can cause our own chaos and overwhelm by our thoughts and blowing it out of proportion. You know, that chatter in your mind, your thoughts basically controlling us instead of us controlling our thoughts. We'll hear what Adrian's thoughts are on this.
Alrighty, overwhelm. I look at overwhelm in two ways. In the one way, a lot of times we almost look at overwhelm as it's almost like a medal that you carry. Like if you're going to reach something in life where it's going to be worthwhile, or it's going to be worthy, or you're going to be worthy of it, it has to be this very challenging, difficult, almost ripping out your soul sort of thing. And on the other hand, there is, which sort of goes hand in hand with that, which is almost like you're not allowed to feel overwhelmed. You're supposed to feel in control. You're supposed to know what to do because you've been doing something for a while, or you're a parent, or you're a partner, or you are older, or you are whatever it is that you are. But when we really have overwhelm, and I think this is one of the big things that I really focus on within my work because I'm a regression hypnosis practitioner. So before trying to get away from the overwhelm and before trying to reach for better feelings and better thoughts and better emotions and all those type of things, sometimes it really benefits us to sort of just really sit with the emotions for a while and say, what is this trying to show me, and what is this trying to tell me, and what is it trying to communicate to me, and where is it really coming from, and what spots is it hitting inside of me? Because it's very easy to start going into a space where I think it's almost like a sense of false winning, where you will have this problem or that problem. You're like, oh no, but I managed to feel better in a day, or and it's very easy also to start falling into substance abuse in a space like that. And I think when we speak about substance abuse, we sometimes think that you have to be on some sort of hard drugs, or sleeping tablets, or abusing alcohol, or all of those type of things. But substance abuse can be very, very simple sometimes. It can literally be, being addicted to energy drinks, for example, and things like those, and even exercise. It's very simple to really fall into things that you almost have a false sense of perception or false sense of control, where it's still overwhelmed, but you actually don't realize that it is, because you're sort of putting a plaster on the problem.
Mm.
And I find that quite a lot.
Yeah. You know, my door's banging, and I know it's going to come out on this webinar. So if it really irritates me, I'm going to excuse myself from the screen and put something by the door.
Okay.
There are many different ways to relax or take a break from overwhelm
Mhm.
feelings, overwhelm feelings. But those methods will probably be more helpful if you work on finding balance overall. For example, simple thing, learn to say no. Even if you're already feeling overwhelmed, there are things and people you want to say yes to. Your boss,
But you
your
have
children,
to.
yeah,
Have to be a good person, to be
yeah,
nice.
yeah, your friends. Ask yourself if those obligations are really necessary. If it's going to stress you out, politely say no.
You know, sorry, I'm interrupting, I apologize. I've had this rule always within my own life that made such a big difference to my life, actually, is that I will say yes to anything as long as I don't say no to myself. Because I used to be such a people's pleaser, and I would really do things and agree to things that I, first of all, really don't want to agree to, that doesn't sort of like resonate with me, sort of like within my own life, or what I want for my life, or the experiences that I want to have in my life. But a lot of times I come from, sort of like your upbringing in the world. If you're a good person, if you're a nice person, if you're a kind person, you're going to do this.
Mm,
And there's almost 8 billion people in this world. And I think about 4 to 5 billion of those people, us in the more westernized side of the world, we often go in that whole sense that you have to do all these overwhelming things and all these difficult things and all these challenging things. And we give each other all these accolades, basically. You have suffered so nicely, let's give you a golden statue for that. So we've really sort of moved into a space where um, doing things that goes against sort of like your own sort of inner sense of peace as a human being, that it's a good thing to do it, and it's a thing worthy of reward, and it's something that you should chase. And here we're sitting with a world where about 4 to 5 billion people are all trying to sort of like do what they're supposed to do, and we're all depressed, and we're all overwhelmed, and we're all challenged, and we call it other things. So
So basically, if you need personal time out, take it.
yes,
Take it.
yes, yes, yes.
The what if statement throws fuel on the fire regarding stress and worry.
Mhm.
And things can go in a million different directions. And the more time you spend worrying about the possibilities, the less time you'll spend focusing on taking action that will calm you down and keep
Yes.
your stress under control. So calm people know that asking what if will only take them to a place they don't want or
Mm.
need to go. The what if. So catch yourself.
Be honest with yourself. And you know what I think the other thing also is, or what I sort of find quite a lot in, because obviously I see quite a lot of people, is that it's the whole sort of like I'm supposed to do that, which once again goes a
Yeah,
lot of times to
yeah,
our upbringing.
yeah,
And I think one of the biggest things is that what we often get is that we often um, sort of like view our own lives through other people's eyes. Or what I really mean to say by that is that if anything arises and maybe you need to say, no, I'm sorry, I changed my mind, I don't really feel it anymore, it doesn't sort of suit me, goes against my principles, whatever it may be,
yeah,
we often feel that if I say this to that person, they are going to feel let down, they're going to feel disappointed, etc., etc., etc. And what I know for a fact is that 99% of the time, that is actually not true, even when it's people that we know really, really well, because we often look at life from our own sort of point of view, from our own eyes, and how I would feel if somebody does
yeah.
this. And a lot of times we find that that is not really what other people would be thinking. And I really came to understand that people are a lot more understanding and a lot more kind, actually, and have a lot more compassion than we often give them credit for. Because a lot of times we come from that point of like, they're not going to like me, they're going to disapprove of me, etc.,
Yeah.
etc., etc., which often comes from our point of view and not really from their point of view. So that's definitely something to look out for.
Mm, mm. And on that note, what Adrian was just saying is the next technique is we're giving you a whole lot of techniques here to
Yes.
actually aid yourself and equip yourself, by the way, as we actually talk. So, what Adrian was just saying now is squash negative self talk. Squash it. A big step in managing stress involves dropping negative self talk in its tracks immediately. The more you dwell on negative thoughts, low vibrational thoughts, the more power you give it. When you find yourself believing the negative and being pessimistic about things, things in your inner voice says, it's time to stop and write them down.
Mhm,
Have you ever thought of that? Literally stop what
mhm.
you're doing and write down what you are thinking. And once you've
Yes.
taken a moment to slow down the negative momentum of your thoughts, you'll be more rational and clear minded in evaluating accuracy. I give a 4-week course about mind mastery. And one of the laws is of mind is thoughts that are emotionalized become magnetized, attracting similar like thoughts.
Mhm.
So when a thought is thought with emotion, it changes the dynamics of the thought. And you're going to ask how? Well, it emotionalizes it. It magnetizes it. And once it magnetizes it, it attracts similar like thoughts back to you, which in turn attracts such the things that you're thinking of, the negative things you're thinking of, whatever you're thinking, it comes right back at you. It's science. So if you want to know, it's even scientifically proven.
Yeah, very well. And I think it's so great that you speak about that because um, even though I come from a very sort of spiritual background and a lot of my sort of work is in the esoterics, I think at the end of the day, it's very important to always bear in mind that you are still a human being having a human experience on planet Earth. And the human mind, the human brain, the human sort of dynamic works in a certain way. And the better you understand how that works, the better it actually works for you. You know what, Karen? Something that I actually do that because I work very similar to how you work, but something that I do is if somebody sometimes come to me and they've got all these emotions, and people are very protective of their emotions. It's just a mind thing, really, which is perfectly fine. I will say, okay, so this is what you feel. How do you want to feel? So this is how you want to feel, but this is how you're feeling right now, and you've got all these feelings, and maybe the jump is a little bit big for you. So let's feel those feelings instead of trying to get away from them, or suppress them, or whatever. What is it
Embrace
that you're feeling? Embrace them. So you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, you're feeling whatever. So how long do you need to feel this? A day, 2 days, 15 minutes, whatever. And really, 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 really feel them. But before you start to feel them, what is the purpose behind this? So we're not just going to keep on feeling them and let them go on and on and on. So you need to be down for a day. No problem. You're going to have a down day. Today you're going to be angry, frustrated, furious, whatever you need to be. But let's be very clear about this. When this day is done and you wake up tomorrow, we're going to approach things in a different way. And because, I think it's very easy to almost get addicted to our thoughts, addicted to our emotions, and then you easily start saying things like, "That's just how I am. That's just how my family is," but it's really learned behavior. And if you
it.
learn how to be that way, you can learn how to not be that way.
Yeah, you need
It's
to
not easy,
acknowledge.
but it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah. You need to acknowledge your feelings, and like Adrian was saying, it's important not to remain there. Yes,
Mm.
we as coaches have the techniques to enable us to actually move forward and past it, but don't think it's any easier for us than it is for you.
We've got our stuff.
We've got our stuff, and some of the things is even reaching out to a friend.
Mm.
So let go, and I think you mentioned something like that earlier on, is let go of perfection.
Mm.
Sometimes we need to learn to let go of the need to control everything or have it all turn out perfectly.
Yeah.
This is one of those times. I need to
Well,
take heed.
exactly. And the thing about perfection is it's literally a perception. It's an
Yeah,
idea that as a collective consciousness, and when I say collective consciousness, I mean human beings, all our minds together.
yeah,
We come across something, this works for everybody, and suddenly it becomes an idea or a law or a belief, or whatever. And but we change these thoughts all the time as human beings in any case.
yeah.
And I think it's very important sometimes to ask yourself a question, especially when you feel down, or you feel overwhelmed, or you feel depressed. Am I really overwhelmed, or am I just have I almost been programmed to be that way? And I'll give you an example. um, when I turned 30 years old, I'm turning 40 next year. So when I turned 30 years old, I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling so depressed. I felt like such a loser because I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a house of my own. I don't really know what I'm going to do with my life, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And then I remember this one day I was lamenting all my feelings to my uncle, and he asked me a very simple question: do you actually want those things? And it hit me like a splash of water through the face, because I realized that that's not really what I want. But yet I've been so down and so depressed for feeling like such a failure. And so sometimes I think it's really important to ask yourself, am I really at overwhelmed at the moment? Am I really, really down? Am I really upset? Or I would almost say, like, am I really losing in life by my own actual merits, or am I losing by merits that have been set forth to me that are supposed to be my merits?
Mm. Do you know that all has to do with control?
Mm.
And I will give you an example as well of myself. Is that I was moving out of this place that I was in, and the owner, landlord, really treated me totally. It was uncalled for, so I'm not going to go
Mm.
into it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad. And I got an email from their lawyers, and me seeing the email, I knew exactly what was going to be in that email, which was defamation of me, who I am, or whatever. And I didn't open that email, and I procrastinated. And And the bottom line is, I had no control over that situation. So whatever the email was going to say, I had no control, that I could not control it. So when I had to dig deep, it was actually fear that was actually holding me back. And then obviously I had to go even deeper than that. So it was actually very interesting that that can actually pause one can actually freeze one and actually going ahead and actually doing something. So the current situation we are facing will force many of us to let go of perfectionist ideals. Remember, no matter what people choose to show and filter, like on social media, for example, nobody's life is perfect. Let go of the thought of being your ideal family, your perfect spouse, perfect parent. Setting realistic goals is a good thing, but expecting perfectionism of yourself, others, or the circumstances in life may lead you feeling overwhelmed and disappointed.
And that's so true, especially with the whole family thing. And I think sometimes, in my experience, it sometimes happens with the ladies more than it happens with the guys, because you've got this idea that, especially as a woman, you're at a certain age, you're supposed to be married, and you're supposed to have kids, and you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do that. And a lot of times we look at things, especially on social media, and you look at this perfect sort of family of sort of like, what's inspiring you or motivating you, or making you feel down and not good enough. And the thing to remember is that no matter how happy and how fulfilled you are within your life, you're always going to have problems. And if you set your goal, this is what you are seeing, and you set your goal, this is what you want, and that is an unrealistic goal, you're not really setting yourself up for happiness. You're not really even motivating yourself for success. You are squarely setting yourself up for failure, because um, life is just life. Life has troubles. Life has challenges, and you can feel fulfilled in most moments of life, but it's going to give you challenges. And I always say to people, if your goal is to be 100% happy all the time, every single day, you're setting yourself up for failure. And if you're going to
Please
follow
give the
people,
recipe.
yeah, yeah, and if you're going to follow people that sort of professes that, you know, not only that that's possible for you, but that is what they are living. Um, in layman's terms, they're lying to you. So you're trying to follow a lie, and I mean, like, let me just backstep that. There's nothing wrong with being motivated. I would definitely always recommend find somebody who really does inspire you. But I also recommend really, really sort of dig a little bit into that person's life. What are their beliefs? What are their motivations behind their actions? What are their drives? What are their values? What sort of person are they? And then allow the sort of motivation that you get from them to motivate you to be the best version of yourself and not a copycat of what they are. Because that is when we sometimes start to run ourselves into walls as well. Because I want to be like Karen, and I want to do what Karen does. And I speak from a lot of experience, because there was a time when I was looking up to certain people, and I realized that I wanted to be like those people. I wanted to sort of recreate their lives, and it really didn't work because I'm Adrian, I'm not them, and they are not me. So I really think it's about finding the truth of who you are. And the thing about finding the truth of who you are, it doesn't really matter which route you take. You can go the psychological route, you can go the spiritual route, you can go the religious, you can go whatever route you want to go. That whatever resonates with you, that's perfect for you. But um, at the end of the day, you really want to find out who you are. And in order to find out who you are, you cannot only be wanting to look at the pretty stuff. You need to know who you are in the totality of who you are. So, what are the areas of you that require some work? What are the things that can sort of take you from a good space to a bad space? What are those things within you? And then really working with those things. And then the better sort of relationship that you get with all of who you are, you really get more. sort of a choice to really choose who it is that you would effectively like to be within your life, because you've got that choice, but it takes work to get to that point, and it also takes work to stay at that point. Similarly, where a lot of times we don't realize, it also takes a lot of work to be out of, I suppose, let's call it alignment with yourself, where you don't have a good relationship with yourself. You may not realize that you're working very hard to maintain that as well, but you actually are. You know?
Mm. It's important to speak your truth. And if you, for instance, a simple example, a relationship.
Mm,
Let's not say it's marriage. Let's say it's a new relationship. You're 3, 4, 5 months into a relationship, and there are certain things that person you don't actually like what they do, or it offends you, or whatever it might actually be. And not taking on their truth as your own, but speaking your truth. If you're going to keep quiet, chaos and overwhelm naturally starts to accumulate and build up. It's like a volcano being
mm,
suppressed all the time. That lava keeping suppressed, and eventually you have anxiety and overwhelm and stress and illness can come from it.
mhm.
So it's very, very important to speak your truth. We are over time. So I'm going to ask Adrian, is there anything you would like to say to our viewers before we end?
Um, I know this for a fact, and I know this from not just working with many people, I know this from working with myself within my own life, because I've, I know and I understand that, same as everybody else, I may have life very much together for myself, but every now and then life is going to throw you a little curveball, like COVID and those sort of things, or whatever it really may happen to be. And I think that especially with perfectionism, as we've been speaking to, because a lot of times, a lot of our overwhelm come from the idea that you have to be perfect and that you have to be
Yeah.
proper. And a lot of times that's not even in your eyes, that's through the eyes of other people. So I would always encourage to really see your life as almost this adventure. What can you do with it? How can you improve upon it? How can you make it better for yourself? We've got, really, when you think about it, we've got very little time on this planet as human beings. Even if you live to be 100 years, half of the time you're sleeping, then you need to do all sorts of other things. And it's very important to realize that before you want to give to your partners and your friends and your children and to everybody really, that your life is really about you. And the amazing thing about that is that the more you focus on you and the more you focus on, well, how can I be the best version of myself and, true to myself, you end up having so much more to give in any case to all those people that you really want to give everybody everything.
Mm. And listen, everyone, have some fun. Have some fun. So you can look at one or two of my past videos where I spoke about having fun as adults, having fun in your relationships. It's vital. It's very important for your mental health. So if you are wanting to make contact with Adrian, his contact details are streaming at the bottom of the screen. And at the end of the video, you'll see a slide with all his contact details. Adrian, by mistake, has just gone off. So my question to you is fear holding you back? Is suppressed emotions holding you back? Are you feeling stuck in your thoughts? Are you wanting to develop your self-worth? Then you're in the right place. As we do a unique deep dive into your operating system and provide you with life-changing and life-enhancing results without limitations holding you back. So my question to you is, who do you choose to be? Now, Adrian, by mistake, has gone offline. So I'm going to and he's not coming back on. So I am just going to say a call out and a shout out to thank Adrian for being on the Conversations with Karin. And everyone, please remember to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you would like to hear future talks. Be safe and be you. Thank you.